Albert Einstein was once asked, "What is the most powerful force in the universe?" His reply was compound interest. What if we could use the mathematical principle of compound interest and harness it to reach the world for Christ? That is exactly what we do at Strategic Impact. Strategic Impact's growth and results could never be described as being a mile wide and only an inch deep. We focus on the growth of an individual to develop them into a leader equipped with the skills to be a disciple and to make other disciples. Disciples then plant cell churches that multiply out as many more disciples and leaders are created. This rapid exponential growth process becomes a movement that has the power to actually fulfill the Great Commission. To give you a glimpse at just how deep and wide Strategic Impact goes, we would like you to meet just a few of the faithful leaders here at SI. This is Dennis. He has proven to be a faithful servant of God over the years and pastors his church in Lusaka, Zambia. He is a regional director at Strategic Impact and is passionate about evangelism and making it a part of his church's culture on top of his responsibilities with SI.
It's a process solution.
Yes, it's a process solution, and programs like the one we have had in Strategic Impact, where we deliberately gather people and provoke them and speak about evangelism, where people are challenged to even schedule evangelism and not just evangelize, but then disciple people. And then those people also being taught that they will need to grow up and then disciple other people.
Yeah.
I think inculcating that over a long period of time can reshape what we have been seeing develop, and I think that would be a better solution.
This is Francis. He is the Northern Zambia Director for Strategic Impact and also pastors his local church. He truly understands what it takes for Africa to reach Africa and is carrying out the vision in practical ways.
When missionaries come over to a place like this one and carry out the work of ministry, they'll leave after a while. There are practical examples of churches that had begun and the missionaries came and they were there. They would bring bales of clothes, they would do all kinds of stuff. When they left, that church is not there anymore. And the church was really like depending on the missionary, not just for the gospel, but even for livelihood, where the locals are trained and they are sustained the way they have always been sustained. There is a way they have always lived, even before the missionaries came. So while we may not discredit the aspect of partnership, but not necessarily of a dependency, that becomes a cancerous thing and causes the work not to move, because people wait until some things are put in place in order to do the work. The coming and doing the work of ministry should just be able to supplement what is already being done for the sake of sustainability. The advantage of training locals to reach the locals is really the best way in the region like this.
Francis wants to focus on sustainability with funding also, and there are a few ideas in the works.
We were looking for opportunities for a business as mission project to kick off. We looked in Lusaka and saw what opportunities are there, and there's heavy competition for what we were wanting to do to start. And so our next eyes were cast to Luingu, and that's mostly because we have a dependable, faithful, trustworthy man who's been a friend of the ministry and involved in the ministry and sacrificially engaging in the ministry of Strategic Impact for some time. We're creating partnerships and not dependency. We're working together to, just like we do ministry. We don't do ministry to people, we don't do ministry for people that they're capable of doing. We come in and we do ministry with people. Thank you for being faithful. Thank you for being my friend.
Thank you so much.
I love you, Francis.
This is Pastor Wandamba and Pastor Ozkiwe. They led and launched this leadership thrust in Tunduma in July. Local pastors and church members from the area sit under teachings about leadership, integrity, and reaching the lost. This 3-day conference is not just talk. In the afternoons, the people go out into their community and evangelize with tools provided by Strategic Impact.
So we may be different than any other ministry that you've encountered because we don't care if Strategic Impact gets big, but we care that the gospel goes everywhere.
Sisi tunachokijali ni kwamba injili iende kila mahali.
Amen.
This is Kiondo. He is the next generation of fruit from Pastor Ozkiwe and Pastor Wandamba. He attended a leadership thrust and was inspired to take on the mission. This is the fruit of his diligence. This room would not be filled with dozens of pastors and leaders if Kiondo had not been empowered and encouraged to be a leader in his community. He says it best like this: Strategic Impact does not give people fish. Strategic Impact is teaching people how to fish. When other ministries are bringing fish, they cause people to be dependent. Strategic Impact has taught us to fish, and now we go out to be fishers of men. This is Signet. He is serving as the regional director for Sub-Saharan Africa. He pastors a thriving church in Lusaka. He's a husband, father, and faithful man of God. Everyone knows when Signet is around because his joy and laughter are contagious.
Wherever the Pope is, things must change.
That's true.
The crazy boys say, he's my dog. I was busy doing the work of ministry, enjoying God, preaching the gospel, and we were flying very high until the 14th of December, when the unexpected happened.
Signet and his family experienced tragic loss when his youngest daughter was found lifeless in a pond. This man of God, whose smile literally lights up a room, went through a very dark time this past year and continued to be faithful to the work of ministry.
I asked myself, how else will I preach to people? I've been preaching to people about the faithfulness of God. When, humanly speaking, God had failed me at that time. I cried many tears and in many days, and my wife was there to comfort me, and many other brothers. And I thank God for my dear brothers, the Strategic Impact family, who stood with me during those moments to comfort and encourage me, because I never thought I'd be able to preach another sermon that would be able to talk about the faithfulness of God, because I felt like God had failed me. During those moments of challenge and pain, I sat to myself in the bedroom. In Africa, when there is a bereavement, you have your wife, maybe she'll be with people. And I had one of the Strategic Impact friends, that's our national director for Zambia, who stayed with me that time. He was sleeping with me in my bedroom. During those moments, his wife also shifted from her home and they camped at my home, just to show how much we love each other as a family of Strategic Impact. One thing that the Lord spoke to me during those moments when I was solo and doubting what else can I say, when will I preach another message about God's faithfulness? The Lord brought me to a situation when John the Baptist was murdered. And when Jesus was told about what happened to John the Baptist, the Bible says the same day Jesus crossed over to the other side and went on to preach the gospel. He was preaching, healing the sick, casting out devils. And the Lord spoke to my heart to say, never you be silenced, I remain faithful. Even if the sun refuses to shine and time is no more, God remains faithful. I had to trust God beyond my pain. The pain was real, but Jesus is even more real. I felt that God hated me. I felt that He never cared enough. I could ask God, say, God, where were you when this little, beautiful, intelligent little angel was drowning? Couldn't you send somebody? But I know that He that watches over the sparrow watches over me. He watches over my little baby. Dustin said one very powerful word when he came to our church to minister, because I was feeling this great sense of loss. Dustin said, Sinet, you only lose something because when you don't know where it is. But when you know where it is, you just miss that's something. You never lost your daughter because you know where she is. I know my little baby is in the bosom of Abraham, and I'll see her one day, and I'll preach another sermon to talk about how good this God is. I know He watches over me, and He fights my every battle. And I'll continue to preach the gospel of Jesus, because for me to live is Christ, and to die is gain.
Every Leadership Thrust conference ends with a linking of arms ceremony to commission the next area with prayer and a call to action. It is a moving time where leaders are born as life is spoken into their potential. Strategic impact is not just an organization. It's a family that is exponentially growing every day. When one family member is down, there is a community around them to help them back up. This is not just a few reaching the masses. This is a massive movement that works by growing deeply with a few. Leaders are multiplying leaders, disciples are maturing other disciples, churches are planting churches, lives are being changed, and continents are being reached.